Hello, everyone, and welcome to 11Alive Plus. This is The Take. I'm Chesley McNeil. This is where we go above and beyond the headlines and we look at the why and how stories are impacting you and your community. We invite experts on to give their take on today's top stories, try to have a little bit of fun as well. But today we begin with the weather impact alert that we have out there this morning. This is where we were tracking storms, severe storms in our area. Parts of the metro are under a tornado warning. That warning has since been canceled. And now our concern is about the flooding with all the heavy rain that we've had in the area yesterday. More heavy rain this morning. We're certainly going to see rain through the afternoon, so that could lead to flooding in our forecast area. 11Alive's Karis Belger is live in the weather impact tracker. She's headed down towards Spalding and Henry County. Karis, what are you seeing? What are the conditions like there right now?
Well, right now I'm on West McIntosh Road here, so we're right before the Spalding County line, still kind of in Henry County. We've been seeing a lot of rain, a lot of wetness on the roads. Haven't seen anything like down trees or anything like that yet, but people should still be careful if they're going to be driving, especially on some of these back roads. These things aren't exactly a main drag, so I'll show you a little bit of what we're seeing. So you can see in front of me, the rain is kind of trickling on the windshield just a little bit, but right before you came on camera to me, it was a little bit heavier. And that's been really the story throughout the entire morning. We get a little bit of heavy precipitation, then it'll lighten up a little bit. Sometimes it'll stop altogether before it'll start again, and that's what's really making the roads a little slick. And you can look at this camera here. This is right underneath of us on our weather impact alert vehicle here, and you can just see all that moisture that's coming up off those roads. So especially with something like this, you want to make sure you're putting a lot of distance between you and the car in front of you, and you also want to be careful as far as taking your time, because visibility can really be a problem when we're talking about some of these roads, because things get wet, things get slick. You have some of that water getting kicked up from the vehicle in front of you, so you should really, really be careful. We are, of course, going to make sure we are tracking any other obstacles that come our way, any concerns as far as flooding or anything else. We'll make sure that you are aware of all of that, and we will, of course, bring you the latest as soon as we have it. In the meantime, Chesley, I'm going to send it back to you.
All right, Karis, really appreciate that. There were reports of downed trees in the area which you're going to, so be careful on the roads down there. This storm started to roll through the area yesterday. So far, we know at least 2 people were killed by this storm. A father and son were killed when a tree fell on them at a golf course in the Columbus area. As we mentioned before, the concern right now is more so flooding. A flood watch has been issued for much of the area through this evening, so we're watching for flooding to begin to take place. All right, now with more on this wild weather is meteorologist Brett Albright from the National Weather Service in Peachtree City. Brett, thanks for joining us this morning.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Brett, talk to me about this particular system. There was no watch in effect for any severe weather to be around, but we had this tornado warning begin to pop up. Do we see things like this often?
It does happen occasionally, yeah. When we have some more sort of isolated conditions that favor tornadoes, which is what we had this morning across the south side of the metro.
We were really thinking about the flooding concern prior to any type of more tornadoes in our area. In fact, we were thinking that would be more shifted toward the south and east of us, but this really popped up. Could we see any more, you think?
You know, I think we could see some more in the area today, although like you mentioned, the main threat is going to be this afternoon, largely to the southeast of our area, across like central Georgia. So the threat remains, but for the metro, I think we're on the downward slide for today.
Talk to me about this flooding. We are under a flood watch till this evening, till like 8 o'clock tonight. Flooding typically, there's 2 types of flooding, right? For us, at least, when we talk about flash flooding, that's something that's happening now. But the flooding that we're talking about takes some time, right? Explain it for us.
It does, yeah. So right now we've got a broad fetch of moisture coming up from the Gulf. We've been trapped into that for a while, and that's just been gradually saturating our grounds. That's put us in a situation where, you know, we're worried about those rivers rising and having potential flood concerns. And there is some flash flood risk, especially some of the heavier downpours we've had coming this morning. But it's going to remain with us through the rest of the day today.
So on days like this, when there's not like an active watch, like we're not telling people, hey, watch out for severe thunderstorms or even tornadoes, what should they do when they come across a thunderstorm even? What should people do?
It's definitely one of those days where it pays to just kind of be weather aware with stuff. So you do want to pay attention to the weather throughout the day. Just be advised that, you know, inclement weather is around the area. But yeah, like you said, it's not one of those high-end days. So it's tricky out there when you're trying to watch it and, you know, keep your family and everyone else around you safe, right? So it's just, you got to just make sure you're paying attention all the time.
One of those days where you really have to watch out. So you need to be prepared, folks. That's what he's telling you. What's down the pike for us? Are we going to see more of this? I do know that we got a couple dry days ahead, and then another system comes in later on this week. Should we be looking out for severe weather then too?
Right now some thunderstorms are possible, but we're not looking at an overly large severe risk with that one coming in on Fridays later in the week. The next thing we'll probably be worrying about here in the office is potential frost freeze concerns as we get into Tuesday night. We've got a colder air mass that's in the plains right now. It's going to be sliding into the region, and we're going to see some areas flirt with morning lows that are in the 30s. And with all the vegetation everybody's seeing greening up, we'll probably have some of those concerns around.
Very good point, right? We were in the 80s just this past Saturday. Last week we saw some 80s around, and now you're saying our temperatures will be going down to the freezing mark maybe overnight. I mean, is this a huge swing for us? Is this normal for us as well?
It's spring, right? It's kind of the way it goes. It is a pretty big swing, though. Overall, we were, pushing 20-some degrees above average as we went through the weekend, and then we're going to be dipping down to where our highs, are going to be 5 to 10 degrees below average. So. It's definitely a shift. It's a swing, but not uncommon, especially when you see these big severe weather events have that big push of cold air coming behind it, especially in the spring.
Gotcha. All right, last question for you, Brett. Listen, are you guys going to send anybody out, any crews down there in Spalding and Henry County where we had this tornado signature?
That's a good question. Yeah, we will be. We've got a number of survey crews going out already today. We've got one going down to Columbus. We just talked about that here this morning. We'll be getting down there. I don't know that it'll be today. We'll probably get a few data points in there, but to complete the survey, I think we're probably looking at through the day tomorrow, just to make sure we've got everybody getting to where they need to be out there. So.
Bonus question, I'm sorry, real quick. The area in which the tornado signature was today, have you guys gotten any reports of any damage around that area?
We've had some reports so far of trees down. I think people are mostly still assessing. From what we saw on radar, it does look like it's going to be a fairly long survey track for us. At least some indications of damage and some circulation traversing a good portion of the county. So I do expect to see more reports come in this morning, especially here as people wake up and get out and about and assess what's going on locally for them.
Excellent. All right, meteorologist Brett Albright with the National Weather Service in Peachtree City. Thanks for joining us. All right, folks, let's take a look at our 7-day outlook at least. And as Brett mentioned, we are looking at temperatures cooling down. We were in the 80s just last week, and now yeah, look at that. We're starting to see those temperatures down into the 60s. Now, keep in mind, we should be around 71 this time of year. We'll get up to 72. That'll be the warmest day of the week. Looks to be on Thursday. Another system coming through on Friday. In fact, late Thursday going into Friday, we'll have some showers around. We'll give it a 30% chance. Should be clearing out by Friday afternoon, the way it looks right now, unless that changes. And then we'll see that cool down, a brief cool down. 63 degrees for the high temperature on Saturday. Sunday, we'll get back into the low 70s where we should be for this time of year. But much of spring break week will be dry. That's the good news right there. Don't go anywhere. Much more on the tape right after this. Welcome back to the show. U.S. markets are preparing for more tariff turmoil after the next round of levies took effect over the weekend. This after President Trump's Treasury Secretary says workers ready to retire aren't worried about the day-to-day market fluctuations.
There doesn't have to be a recession. Who knows how the market is going to react in a day, in a week. What we are looking at is building the long-term economic fundamentals for prosperity that I think the previous administration had put us on a course toward financial calamity.
Joining us now is NBC's Washington correspondent Alice Barr, who's been covering politics for years now. And Alice, you heard the Treasury Secretary right there say that we shouldn't be worried, but what are financial experts telling you?
Good morning, Chesley. Yeah, I mean, there's some concerns certainly being raised this morning. And one person that we're hearing this from is JP Morgan Chase CEO Jamie Dimon, who said today that President Trump's reciprocal tariffs will likely raise prices on both domestic and imported products and slow down economic growth. He said it's not clear yet if there's actually going to be a recession, but slowing growth that always is headed that direction and hopefully, doesn't go too far. We've also heard from billionaire Trump backer Bill Ackman, who posted on social media that business leaders are losing faith in President Trump over his tariff approach. Ackman calling for a pause in tariff increases to allow for negotiations and to prevent, quote, a self-induced economic nuclear winter that he said could devastate businesses and severely hurt low-income American consumers. So certainly some alarms being sounded from some pretty high-profile folks in the business world.
Still a 10% tariff kicked off over the weekend against trading partners across the globe, set to go maybe even higher on Wednesday for a dozen countries. Is the White House bracing for another rough go of the market?
Yeah, I mean, we've already seen that, you know, in early trading and then in also foreign markets and Asian markets. It's been not good looking this morning. And you're right, on Wednesday, that is when this next round of reciprocal tariffs, as President Trump phrased them, is set to take effect against dozens of countries. And some of those are very, very high, and against some major trading partners, 20% against the EU, a total of 54% against China. China has already retaliated with a 34% tariff on U.S. imports, and we've seen Canada retaliating as well. So that's where things could get even dicier if other countries slap tariffs back on U.S. goods in response to what's happening to them. Then this could only escalate further, and that's when you could start to see, you know, the next tier potentially of this crisis. Though what we're also hearing from the Trump administration is kind of mixed responses from different people within the administration about whether this is in fact a negotiating tool. The president said that more than 50 countries have been reaching out to him and that this puts him in a position to negotiate, though he did say that he doesn't want to have anything that seems like an imbalance, a trade imbalance between the U.S. and other countries, and that so far he hasn't cut any deals, as he's putting it.
Gotcha. Alice, let me let you go on this one. President Trump's deadline for TikTok, a new buyer for it, passed this weekend. Did he extend that deadline again?
He did, and this is also related to tariffs because a deal had been in place, according to two people familiar with it, but then came the tariffs, large ones against China, and TikTok's Chinese parent company ByteDance now appears to suggest that China won't approve the deal to sell TikTok to a non-Chinese owner, so that would resolve some of these national security concerns until there are negotiations over trade and tariffs. Chesley.
All right. Thanks a lot, Alice. Really appreciate your insight. We'll see you again tomorrow. Underride crashes. It's a term that you may not have heard of, but if you've seen one, you won't forget it. The underride crash is when a vehicle slides under a semi-truck in a wreck. It's very dangerous, often deadly, and the federal government wants Georgia now start tracking them a little bit better. 11Alive News senior investigator Rebecca Lindstrom joins us now with some insight on this investigation to find out why. Why do they want us to track them better? Hey,
I mean, you think about these underride crashes and you think, okay, if I just do everything I'm supposed to do, then I'm going to be safe. But this is an accident that could happen to any driver. You could be doing the right thing, paying attention to traffic, and then bam, another vehicle hits you, causes your car then to spiral and slam into and under a semi-truck. You are seeing pictures taken at various crashes here in Georgia to show you just what we're talking about. Most trucks do now have a guard that goes on the back along, that semi-truck. But if a car hits at an angle or off to the side, some of those guards, as you're seeing right now, can fail. So there is a push right now to improve those guards, and some would also like to see guards along the sides of the trucks. Marianne Carth, a mom who lost her 2 daughters in an underride crash, explains why she is being such a strong advocate for these guards for years.
The crash-worthy features of cars that automakers have built in, like crumple zones, bumpers, airbags, seatbelt tensioners, they don't work in that kind of a crash because the first point of impact, which would trigger that, is at the windshield.
Rebecca, how big of a problem is this?
The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, NHTSA, says about 630 people die in underride crashes each year. About 2/3 of those are from that rear impact. But honestly, it is hard to know. We spent weeks going through crash reports here in Georgia. In 2022, the most recent year that data is available, we found reports saying that there were 17 underride deaths. But when we actually went through all of that data, we found several more that just didn't get counted because the word Underride was nowhere on the report. Our own research determined, at least here in Georgia, the number could be 3 times higher.
Wow, wow. All right, so this is why the federal government is asking Georgia to do a better job of tracking that data, right?
They are asking every state to track this data, but right now only 18 states do. And as we've indicated, Georgia is not one of them. They want them to put like a field on the report, something that would allow them to easily know that this was an underride accident. When I first started asking questions, the state didn't even seem to be aware that the feds had made this request. Now I am told it is something the Georgia Traffic Records Coordinating Committee, big word, but they're the ones that decide exactly what ends up on those crash reports. And I'm told that they will be discussing it. I spoke with Matthew Brumbelow. He is with the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety, and I just asked him, why is this so important?
So much of these analyses, whether it's cost-benefit analyses or studies that we do or other safety groups do, they depend on accurate counts of the size of the problem, not just for underride, but any safety problem. And so when there's not a box, then the police officer who's investigating the crash, who may be the only source of data that we get on that collision, if they're not having to think about was this underride or not, then we're dependent on them with all the other responsibilities they have of somehow knowing that that's something that someone might look for.
So there's nothing to stop the industry from putting these guards on the trucks right now. What's the big pushback?
The biggest pushback seems to be with the side guards. The federal government estimates it would cost about $35 billion to install them on every truck on the road. The industry says that is money that would be better spent on improving crash prevention technology. There's also no consensus on the best design. There are practical issues as well, like gas consumption with a heavier vehicle, or how do you stack trailers if this is installed, or even if you scrape the ground while cresting a hill. So a lot of factors that do need to be considered.
Okay. Rebecca Lindstrom, really appreciate it. Want to hear more about this? And you can. Rebecca will be reporting this in the next few days, focusing tonight at 11 on those rear guards, and tomorrow taking a closer look at the debate around installing those guards on the sides of trucks. You'll be able to watch it right here on 11Alive Plus, and we will be tuning in. Hey, we got plenty more stories for you right after this. Don't go anywhere. All right, welcome back. Morris Brown College here in Atlanta lost its accreditation back in 2003, and it's since been looking to rise again. And now the Atlanta-based HBCU is making a comeback. Joining me now is Dr. Kevin James, the 19th president of Morris Brown College. Dr. James, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. Good morning.
Good morning to you. Talk to me about where you've been serving as president of college for 6 years now. Talk to me about where it was or what it was like when you first signed on to where it is now.
Yes, Morris Brown College has made a historic comeback. We're so excited to literally come back almost from death. You know, Morris Brown College lost its accreditation in December of 2002. We lost our federal financial aid, and the school's enrollment plummeted. But I'm so happy to say that the school is back today. We're now fully accredited. We have our federal financial aid reinstated. We now have our veterans benefits reinstated. We have our F1 visa and international enrollment reinstated. And we're now the most affordable HBCU in the city of Atlanta, including degree programs that are very, very competitive. Students can come here to the campus or take classes online. Morris Brown College is back, and we're so very excited about it.
Has it surprised you how quickly things have turned around since you've been there?
Well, it hasn't been that quick. I mean, I've been the president here 6 years. It took us about three and a half years to become fully accredited. But we're very, very excited. I'm so proud of the team that we've assembled here at Morris Brown, and we're continuing our resurgence.
How has the transformation been for you?
Oh, it's been very, very great. You know, we have a lot of supporters in the community. So many people are watching Morris Brown. They're very, very excited for our restoration. And I'm just so proud of the community support of our institution.
Gotcha. Now I understand you're launching a major campaign through the Blank Family Foundation. Talk to me about that.
Yes, Morris Brown College is so excited to partner with the Arthur Blank Family Foundation. Right now we have a major marketing campaign promoting our hospitality management certificate. We have a very, very fast-paced 1-year hospitality certification so we can build that pipeline of Black and brown talent to go out and to work in the restaurants, work at destination sites, work at hotels, and other organizations. So we're very, very excited. of the support of the Arthur Blank Family Foundation. And we're very, very excited. Continue to watch Morris Brown. We're all over the city. You'll see marketing all over the city promoting this restoration.
What do you hope people take away from it? Is that just it, to get more folks enrolled in the school? What's the big takeaway with this partnership?
Yeah, the big takeaway is building our hospitality management program. You know, Morris Brown College is the only institution, the only HBCU in the state of Georgia with such program. And so we have our 4-year bachelor's degree program in hospitality management, also our 1-year certification. And so our major focus is to promote that we have the program here, and then also to increase our enrollment.
What is your goal now? I mean, you bounce back, and obviously you have more goals. What's next for you?
Yeah, when I started at Morris Brown, we had this mantra called the hard reset. That was literally going back to the basics, going back and resetting. That is now over. Morris Brown College is reset. We are now in the second 5-year phase of our journey called the resurgence. So my goal now is to increase our academic profile, increase our enrollment, increase our endowment, fundraising, and to make sure that everybody knows that Morris Brown not only is back, but this is a phenomenal institution. Please take a look at Morris Brown. You can go to our website, morrisbrown.edu, check out our programs, check out our low tuition, and we would love to have you here at the institution.
All right, Dr. Kevin James, happy to see the Q's back too, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much.
All right, take care now. All right, folks, don't go anywhere. Dr. Kevin James, Morris Brown. It's good stuff right there. We'll be back on the final take right after this. All right, we started out the show with 11Alive's Karis Belger. We're going to go back to her now in the weather impact tracker. And Karis, have you seen any damage at all so far?
We've seen a little bit. I'm on Westwood Drive here, so just off of Vaughn Road where we first got those reports of downed trees. Not only did we find some downed trees, those trees fell on power lines, but now there's a crew working on them. So I'm going to show you what exactly we're looking at. So just within the last, I want to say 15 minutes or so, this crew has shown up to take care of this. They are now going through the painstaking process of trying to cut through this tree that is on this power line so they can get things up and running, having to cut power through this area in order to make sure, of course, no one gets hurt or electrocuted. But that's exactly what we're seeing right now. So the road we're on is actually not open to through traffic right now. They purposely put cones and things up there because they wanted to make sure nobody was coming onto this road who didn't need to be here. We did see some traces of what looked like the residue from flooding as well when my photographer and I were driving. Well, he was driving, I was watching. And so right now we're just sitting here waiting for this crew to finish up their work. They've just gotten here, as I mentioned, so quite a bit of things for them to get done.
Explain to us about where you are. Is that a major road that goes through those two counties there? Are you close to a highway? Where are you about?
So we are on a residential street that's just off of a main road. So Vaughn Road is sort of the main road, and then Westwood is that side street where there are a few homes here. We counted about 3. It's not very heavily populated, but there is, from what we've noticed, enough traffic going through here that they saw a need to block the road off. And we're right by the border of Spalding and Henry County.
All right, very good, Karis. You guys be careful down there. We did see a Doppler indicated tornado in that area move through earlier today and now has pushed out, and you can see where we already have damage. Be careful on the road, Karis, trying to get back here. And if you happen to see something good, snap some pictures for us and send them back. I'd like to say the same thing for you folks. You also help us to tell the weather story. If you can safely snap pictures and show us what's happening in your community, we'd love to report it to show everybody what's going on or what has went on as far as the severe weather goes for this morning. Now, seemingly so, we may be out of the danger as far as the severe weather goes. Flooding, the major concern now. Be on the lookout, especially those places that you know flood, those flood-prone areas, those poor drainage areas. A little bit of rain helps them flood. You know that there's going to be flooding. The rain will be with us through the day today, and then we should catch a break by tomorrow, get the sunshine back in here. Have a great day, folks, and encourage someone today.